Hello guys, now I'm going to do the air. For me the scout every tier is S tier. You need them at any point of the game. I put the surfing one first because when they die they still reveal a portion of the map for a few seconds more. Same thing for interceptor. I would put it even in S. They are all the same, they all behave the same way. And they are all really indispensable until you got the T3R. Except for the Aeon where they have T2 and in some case it's better to have the T2 than the T1. Now for the bomber, the Scorcher is better against building. For me overall the best one is the Seraphim. The worst one is the Cybran, but still at one bomber is still great. And I don't like the stun of the Aeon, but they are all useful. T1 bomber, when you rush it, it can be devastating, at least for the moral damage. Now for the transport, the best one is the Seraphim one because he has more plays than any other. Uh, those two are on the same tier, and the UF, if I remember, are two plays more. No, it's the same. The T1 are all the same. So the Seraphim is a bit better. And there is one special case for the Cybran where they have a T1 gunship. The T1 have the same damage per second than the T2, but no AoE damage and 300 hit point less. But it can still be useful. I prefer using a gunship to defend myself, but I mean it's a air unit. If you have the air cover, go ahead and harass your opponent. For the T2 transport, here the UF is better than the other two, and the Seraphim have once again a bit more place. The Nota, the T2 bomber, for me is really great. With 1k damage, it's easy to figure out how much you need to kill something. Great AoE. The problem with that ship is it's hard to control, but otherwise, for me, it's the best bomber. I don't know where the other gone, but for me, the worst one is the Cybran. Great because of the stealth, so that's the reason why it's good to snipe the target. It's also quite fast, but it doesn't have a great damage. And the 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 UF1 is also good if you rush it. It's exceptionally good against the T1 power. So if you get your T2 air before your opponent and your opponent is still on T1, you can destroy his whole power generation and crippling with just one unit. But after a while, it's getting worse. But in the first 10 minutes, it's a really great unit. Now the gunship, the T2 gunship. I mean they're great units. The Aeon one is a really exceptional unit. I really like it to hit and run. The UF and the Cybran are close the same. For me, they are the same. The UF is a bit bulky and have a better DPS, but the Cybran have AoE effect. So that's for them. The Seraphim have a better DPS than the other, and it's also a bit fast, so I prefer him than the other two. But the alpha damage of the Aeon is really great, and I really love them. For the torpedo bomber, they just do the job. Nothing special in them. Um, the T2 for Giant would put in C because they are worse than the interceptor, but they can catch up the T3 bomber if you are behind in tech-wise in air, and you can choose your engagement. So when you get ahead, you can get really far ahead with them. That's why I put them in B. The Mercy is just trash because you just need to spot them, and with 10 HP, they get OS by everything. And now for the T3 interceptor, they are all great, um, but the UF for me is better and the Servant is worst. The UF have a uh, jamming device, so it's hard to evaluate how much your opponent have with just the radar coverage. And the Servant have a bit less stat than the other, but can be stealth. And he has a high turnover, so he still managed to win fight when there is big cluster. But in small fight, the other three beat him. The scout, everything about scouting in this game is premium. It's really great. The T3 bomber, all great, but I don't like the Sebron. Same reason than for the SF. He have less stat than the other. He does less damage and have less HP for having the stealth option. But for me, that doesn't justify the unit. But I mean, we all get killed by those boss sword. So I put them in A, but with Cybran last one. The T3 torpedo bomber, pretty useful. With two of them, you one shot the cruiser, and with the bulk, they don't die by them. So you send two of them to kill a cruiser, you send back to the air staging, and you repeat that operation. And that make Ion able to win Navy with just air, and thanks to that unit. The T3 air transport is great, but it's rarely used because all 8 is it. The shield on it and its hit point is pretty great. With it and labs, you have a bigger DPS than even the experimental gunship. So it's a great unit, but not the best. The T3 gunship is just a lot of HP to get through. So if you don't have air cover and just rely on AA on the ground, that unit can be a pain in the ass. That one, it's pretty great. You see a lot of it. The best use case for it is when you win air. Instead of building SF, you switch to that unit, which has a better range than the SF, a lot more HP. So you can choose to engage. That unit is for snowballing your air advantage. And the whaler is just a T3 with a big AoE. Nothing much. Good unit, but I don't make it often. I hope it helped. Have a nice day.